David's with me. David Schultz is expert in constitutional law, professor at University of Minnesota's Law School. Right, so in the great scheme of these things, the justices are laying down markers on their jurisprudence. What do you take from the fact? I mean, on one level, it's a little bit depressing, isn't it? That the split in the Supreme Court between liberals and conservatives just will never go away and always comes back in some shape or form.
You're absolutely correct that at the end of the day, the court is still split, but they were united on a very, very narrow question, of which I don't think any of us were surprised by in terms of the court ruling it. But to your broader question here, is that American politics is so divided. Congress is divided, the president's divided, the parties are divided. The court is just another one of those sort of cracked or divided institutions. But there's something I want to really say about this divide here right now. And the reason why I think the majority went where they did and the dissenters were where they were is that they said that the majority, there's only a specific way that Trump can be removed from the ballot, and it's through what Congress does. What it forecloses is the fact that Trump is still facing criminal trials. And what if he were to be convicted in the next few months? And if he were to be convicted, this decision now precludes a judge from saying he is now, as a convicted felon, ineligible to serve as president of the United States. And so I think that's the real significant part that most people are missing right now in terms of how this decision was laid out.
Right. So because there is a part of the 14th Amendment that's for convicted felons.
Well, basically, across the United States, if you've been convicted as a felon, you generally can't serve in office. And here, by specifically saying that only Congress can invoke this clause, it's foreclosing a possibility that a judge could have invoked the insurrection clause to preclude him from staying on the ballot if convicted of a felony.
What about the immunity case? Where are we with that at the moment?
Well, that's why I think it's interesting here, because the Supreme Court accepted last week the immunity argument. It's going to take briefs this month, oral arguments in April, decision expected by, let us say, the end of June. In some sense, what the court tried to do was take two issues, which are really, I think, joined. Immunity issues, the insurrection clause issue, did he commit insurrection? And they're trying to crowbar them apart and address them separately. And if the Supreme Court rules, as I think they're going to rule, and say he doesn't have absolute immunity, there's a possibility that he can go to trial, possibility he could be convicted before Election Day, then the opinion that came out this morning precludes the judge from saying, you've been convicted of a felony, you can't serve as president of the United States. So there really is what I think is some type of deeper structure that's potentially connecting this decision and the one that will be coming out in the next few months.
All right, so let's just humor me if you'll be as kind. So we've just had this decision on the 14th. We've still got the immunity decision to go. Let's assume that Donald Trump wins on that one as well. He's on the ballot. He becomes a convicted felon in some shape or form. How far has the Supreme Court prepared itself? I know you say about the 5 majorities saying, only Congress, but can you see ways in which Donald Trump's presidency comes back again and again and again before the court?
Oh, I see this happening several times as possibilities, because again, if the immunity case decision goes the way it is, that's not going to completely foreclose him from going to trial. Additionally, that basically only involves the case in Washington, D.C. surrounding events of January 6th. We also have the Mar-a-Lago case involving the government documents, which is alleged illegal behavior after he became president. And then we have the case that's going to start later this month in New York City. So I can see the court eventually perhaps being dragged into these other court proceedings with Donald Trump, as well as perhaps, depending on what's going to happen, with the Georgia case regarding his efforts to try to interfere in the election there. So I think the court is far from done in terms of addressing the 2024 presidential
Right.
election as it impacts Donald Trump.
And I'm guessing the significance of today is we've got a good idea of where everybody stands on these bigger issues. Glad to have you with us, sir. We will talk more. I am grateful. Thank you.